What's up, guys? Josh here with Finishing. This is episode 4 of my Q&A series. Let's get into it. If you're new here, don't forget to check out the description box, and you can see all the questions and the time slots in which I'm answering those, so you can skip forward, skip back, whatever you want to do. But don't forget to hit subscribe, and let's get into it. So question number 1 is from Matt. It says when to wear a mask in the flipping process. In all reality, I would say the entire process. Every part of the flipping process should contain a mask, because in the entire process, you have sand particles. Those are always in the air. Whether you're walking around, you're kicking it up. Whether you're moving your hoses or your extension cords, you're kicking it up. Your sanding in general is putting it in the air. If you're in an environment where you're not outside, maybe it's in the air. Then your chemicals, like your cleaning materials, you're not supposed to really breathe in lacquer thinner or mineral spirits, acetone, stuff like that. And then along with that, one, if you're spraying on your finish, that's obviously bad if you're breathing that in. But even brushing it on, wiping it on, chemicals can get in your skin. So wear gloves, wear your masks, and then as well as that, you have off gassing. So even when you're done with the project, the cure time might be 24 hours. Then your actual off-gassing time, and most of the time they don't put it on the cans, but you have an off-gassing time to where the chemicals are released to harden that material. So that can be up to 7 days. And that's why when I refinish furniture for people, I tell them not to try and put anything on it like newspapers, coffee mugs, coasters, things like that. Don't even use it for 7 days, because that needs to off gas and things can stick to it, leave rings, fade it, everything like that. So technically, you should be wearing a mask the entire time. The other thing too is make sure you're wearing the right mask. You need to find full respirators with the cartridges. It can be a bit expensive, but get cartridges and keep them in a bag when you're not using them to preserve them. But get the cartridges that are resistive to chemicals and off-gassing. And you'll see that on the descriptions. I don't know exactly what it says, but basically it's just saying like, this helps keep chemicals from getting through. It's the smell, the actual aroma, the really just the chemical from coming into those filters. It keeps that. I want to say the P99s do a good job at that. They also do asbestos for those. I pay a little extra. You can buy just regular chemical ones, but I do like the all-around P99 filters. They do excellent. They are pretty expensive, but they're worth it. And then I keep them in a bag to preserve them when I'm not using them. But when you're sanding, just use the regular filter breather masks, because there's a difference between like your chemical masks and your particle masks. And a particle mask is those white ones with like the little notch on the front, that little filter. That's good for particles, big particles, like actual dust particles. That's what you need to be wearing when you're sanding. You can wear the P99s or whatever, but like, you're paying like $20 for a package of 3 or 4 of them, when you don't need to be wearing them during that, when you can just use a regular filtered particle mask. So just pay attention to what you're using. About half the time, I don't even wear a mask during certain processes, when I really should. But all in all, like the definitive sanding and then the finishing and then the applying chemicals and stuff like that, that's when you need to always be wearing a mask. Other than that, it's kind of up to you. It is good to always wear a mask no matter what when you're around that stuff, but it's your preference. So let's get on to question number 2. Alright, question number 2. This one is from Greg. Why is tack cloth different? Tack cloth is actually infused with a tacky material that allows it to pick up dust and particles. So clean up using tack cloth to clean up works really well. And then also something cool about tack cloth is it doesn't leave behind those little tiny fabric flakes. It does not do that. So that's the cool part about it. It doesn't leave anything behind. So if you're wiping on a poly, you don't want those little flakes in there because then you're going to have to dig them out and reapply, right? So I use it for my wipe-on poly. You can do that as well. The tackiness does not alter the finish at all from what I've experienced. But tack cloth is also great for wiping on poly. So that's something to check out. I hope that answers your question, Greg. Let's get on to question number 3. All right, question number 3 is from Craig. I have a garage full of unsold furniture. If I can't sell them and my garage is full, how do I keep refinishing furniture? So, my number one thing is to annoy people. What I mean by that is not to go out and just scam people, but keep consistently posting your stuff online if that's how you're trying to sell it. Consistently be posting, trying to get the word out there. Be a member of multiple local groups on your Facebook pages to get your furniture sold and out there. Also reach out to friends and family to see if they want any of it. But I would recommend getting a contract agreement if you're skilled at this. If you feel comfortable with your skills and your skill set, get some contracts put together and go out and find clients that you can refinish furniture for, because that's going to be your biggest profit margin, is doing it for other people, not doing it for yourself, okay, and trying to sell it. So the idea behind flipping furniture honestly isn't just to find things on the market, flip it, and sell it. That's not the only thing. These people that are making thousands of dollars a month, they're not just doing that. They have a business and a business plan to do that for other people. The number one thing to having a successful business is providing a service for somebody else, to fixing a problem. When you're buying and selling on the market, you're not necessarily fixing a problem. Somebody might be looking for furniture, yes, but the majority of the population already has their furniture. They're settled in. A lot of people have just old furniture that they want refinished. So that's the problem that you need to be fulfilling, is covering their problems, that they have this furniture they want refinished, refinish it for them, and try, instead of trying to sell your refinished furniture that you picked up from the marketplace to them. That's a great way to get in and get out. Get your job done, and then you immediately have that delivery because it's their furniture. You can bring it back to them 2 days later, and boom, it's out of your garage, done. So that is my method of, like, maybe every 4 pieces of furniture you refinish, one of those should be maybe a service, or 2 of them should be a service, or even 3 if you feel comfortable. But that's the best way to do it. So that's my recommendation, Craig. Let's get on to question number 4. Question number 4 is from Jan. She says, what do I sand with between coats of finish? Alright, so I've seen a lot of people doing the hydro/dry sandpaper to sand after their finish coat, which works really well. I've seen people use cardboard products. I've seen people use the most preferred method is like 400 grit between coats as you go. So like you have like your 3 or 4 hour flash off time or your set time to where you can sand it and the tackiness is gone. And then you go in with 400 grit to 600 and sand between coats. But to be completely honest with you, from my experience, if you know how to put a good layer of finish on, you don't need sandpaper, okay? And what I mean by that is you still need to sand between coats, but you don't need sandpaper. I actually, since I've created a system that works well for me, and I'm skilled enough to put a good finish layer on, a nice finish coat that is smooth already, all I need to do is use printer paper. I go in with printer paper, sand it, and it's perfectly fine. Sand it, clean it up, reapply, and you're good to go. I think honestly, once you get over 400 grit, your grits become so fine that honestly, printer paper is no different. Honestly. Like, it gets to where the grits don't even really put scratches in your piece. And I think of those people that use like 800 grit sandpaper between coats. Like, why would you spend the money to do that when you can just use a piece of printer paper that's going to do the exact same thing, have twice the durability, and it's printer paper. You can have an abundance of printer paper for dirt cheap. So that's my method. Give it a shot. If you don't like it, try sandpaper, but that's the way to go. Let's get on to question number 5. All right, last question. Question number 5 is from Mark. How do I glue tight spaces? All right. So I don't know if you've paid attention, but a lot of woodworkers actually have needles. What those are used for typically is you attach them to the bin or the basin or whatever they call it. That, like, if you were, you can use it for like vaccination needles. I think those are a little sharp. You don't necessarily need it to be that finite. Those tubes are tiny too. So my best opinion is to go and get one of those turkey baster things, like something you would inject your meat with. Go get one of those, and what they do is they fill those up with glue. And you can actually, I would actually recommend, instead of just pumping glue in there, put some glue in a little cup and mix in like a quarter part of water with it, just to thin it down just a little bit. That way it runs through your needle right just fine, and you can clean it nice and easy. So thin down your glue, put it in there, and you can get in those tight crevices and glue those areas up just fine. If you're having a problem with your veneer on your pieces lifting, you can also inject underneath there, clamp it, and get a nice flush surface that holds really well. So that's question number 5. Hope that answers your question, Mark. Give that a shot. Hope you enjoy it. Alright, so that was the 5 questions. Again, if you're looking at the end of the video before the rest of the video, go in the description box. You'll see all the time slots and the questions asked. And you can scroll to that or scroll back to see those questions and answers. And that wraps it up. So hopefully we'll have a couple more episodes coming out soon. Hope to see you guys later, and subscribe. Peace out.